Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Build the Ultimate Theme Park in Planet Coaster. My name is Tyler Cedarwall, and I just got finished with eating an orange because my life is super adventurous. Anyways, last episode, we started building our station for the second roller coaster, and we got quite a bit done, but we still have a lot to get done. In this episode, we're going to be working on mostly just this station for the coaster, so it's going to be the station episode. Maybe we can talk about station types of things, like train stations, or radio stations, or play stations, or there's just so many types of stations. Why is station such a used word? I never realized how many things station is used to describe. Weird. So the first thing we're gonna do is work on the outside of the building a little bit because we still have a lot to do. We have a lot to do on the outside and inside of this building. It's kind of insane. Now, if you don't remember last episode, I talked about how my main goal for this building was to make diagonal outcroppings from the main portion of this building. So we didn't have just like a regular, boring, like rectangular building. I wanted to have lots of weird shapes, and I think that actually makes the building a lot more realistic because not very often, unless the building's kind of small, do you see buildings that have walls that go in just 4 different directions. Most interesting architecture has lots of curves and angles, even though it's not supposed to go at an angle. I know, bad Let's Play references from like 5 years ago. It's kind of weird to me that even though it's been like 6 years, that phrase that Josh Jepson made up like 6 years ago, it's not supposed to go at an angle, is still like a really common thing for people who used to watch his Let's Plays and who are part of like our Let's Play community, still reference all the time. Like literally almost every time I hear the word angle, that's the very first thing I think about, and it's kind of annoying, but at the same time, I mean, always brings back memories. There's actually this guy I work with at the new restaurant that I work at. His name is Engle, but it's like E-N-G-L-E, which is kind of weird, but it's a very unique, interesting name. I need to like start showing him those Let's Play videos and be like, hey, it's not supposed to go at an angle. And then you'd probably just think I'm dumb, actually. So in this video, we're going to be focusing on pretty much just the station. I don't think I actually work on anything else because I really just went all out on the station, put it in lots of detail. One of the very first things we're working on, which we're going to start right now, is the ceiling for this main station room. Now, I wanted the ceiling to be different from the roof on the outside. So when you look at the outside of the building, you wouldn't be able to predict the shape of the roof on the inside. I think for some reason, to me, that just shows like an extra piece of detail that you wouldn't expect for somebody to put into a building in this game. And I went ahead and did it. Now, what I did for the roof is I didn't want to have just another curvy plain roof because that's what we had in the other building. So I still took the same curvy roof texture, and what I did is I made it varied in height, so it would look a bit more textured, and I think it really made it look really modern and super cool. And I also messed up and had to go fix it. I put one of the pieces too high, and I was like, something isn't right about this, and so I had to analyze it, and for some reason my brain was kind of confused by this pattern. I was like, wait, what's happening? I don't know. I was just really confused when making it. I don't think I was as confused as these guests probably are, watching a building getting constructed around them in real time. They just see floating pieces of ceiling just like moving around above their heads, and they're like, I really hope that doesn't land on me. That would be my thought if I saw this happening right in front of my very eyes. But I said several episodes ago that this game is still a little bit limited when it comes to the amount of tools you have to build with, especially when it comes to building pieces. And because of that, you really have to take the pieces that you have and think outside of the box and think of ways to use those pieces in a unique and innovative way. Because if you don't, you'll just have the same looking building over and over again. But if you do take the pieces and you use them in very unique ways, you can make tons of buildings that look very variant with the same exact pieces. In last episode, I told you about my plans for the scenery theming inside of this building, and I'll talk about it again because I got a lot of concerns. But pretty much my plan for the scenery inside this building is to make it start off like you're walking into a cave, like you're walking through just like a random cave that you found, and then eventually that cave turns into a secret alien base that you come across. Now, I phrased it kind of weird last episode. I said it's like a laboratory that you come across, and lots of people said, oh, but last episode you built a laboratory. Like, isn't that kind of repetitive? So I'll go ahead and use the word base instead. We're finding an alien base. Now, I use like laboratory type pieces because first off, that's one of the main types of scenery pieces you have in the sci-fi theme section, is things to build labs with. But I don't want to think of it as a laboratory. I'm thinking of it more as an alien base because there's aliens like performing experiments and that sort of thing. So think of it more along those lines. So you're walking through a random cave, and you're just going through like small passages, and then suddenly it just becomes very futuristic, and you're like, what in the world? And you keep on walking, you're just like very curious, kind of turning this into like a whole entire story. You get really curious and you keep going, and then like you see aliens and they're performing experiments, and you're like, holy crap. And then you go into like the main station room, and there's a roller coaster that takes you through this awesome sci-fi mountain. And I've been getting lots of name ideas, but I'm not actually going to take any name ideas from the video comments until we actually get to the point where I'm finished with the coaster and I ask for name ideas, just because I want to kind of have it be a little bit structured. I mean, feel free to talk about in the comments ideas for the coaster and name ideas. That's completely okay with me, but there will be an actual official video where I ask, okay, so what should we name this coaster? And that's where I'll actually look at the comments with the mindset of I'm looking for a name idea for this ride. Now, as you see, I ended up really liking my idea to have staggering heights for the roof pieces, so I decided to do it for the section over the gift shop after the coaster as well. So we have one section inside the coaster that has that staggering height in the roof, and then we have a part on the outside of the building. So we have a little bit of variety, some outside, some inside. And one of my favorite things about this building is this curved section on the outside when you're leaving the coaster. I don't know why, but I just think it looks really crisp and clean, especially when I'm done with it and like make sure it all looks really good. Something about it, man, something about it. And then what I did next real quickly is I put down the flooring for what is going to be the main section to where you see the aliens for the first time. And this is like going to be the only like really laboratory section where they're like doing experiments and stuff. But before I did that, I was like, you know what, before I do all that scenery, I need to start more towards the beginning of the queue and then move inwards. So I decided to build the cave section. So the way I did this is, luckily in this game, one of the best parts about it is the fact that you can intercept scenery in any way that you could possibly want to. And so I decided to make a man-made cave out of just taking tons of the rocks and just wait, just like what I just said, I'm taking tons of the rocks, as in Dwayne The Rock Johnson, just taking a bunch of him, just cloning him a bunch of times, and then just putting him all over the inside of this building. Because when you have the rock everywhere, it seems like you're inside a cave. Definitely. No, I'm just kidding. But I took tons of the rocks, and you can just flip them, turn them, and piece them together to make it seem like you're walking through a cave. Now, this cave is going to be fairly cramped, because when I first started building this section of the ride, I didn't expect to build a cave in this way, and so I didn't really space it out completely the way I should have, but it still completely worked out the way I envisioned it to. So it is all a-okay. But yeah, it is a little bit claustrophobic, so if you don't like small spaces, waiting in line for this ride may not be your favorite thing to do. Most people are not claustrophobic though, as far as I'm concerned, so overall it shouldn't be a big problem. It kind of reminds me, there's this Mexican restaurant in, I believe, Denver, Colorado. I forget the name of it, but it is really, really well decorated inside. Like there's an indoor waterfall. Like just the theming is kind of what it's known for. I don't know why I can't remember the name, but I'm sure several of you watching this video have probably been there because it's a pretty famous tourist destination in Denver. But inside that Mexican restaurant, they also have some man-made caves that are kind of like small caves that you can run through. I remember as a kid I would run through them over and over again because they were like 5 minutes long, and there would be like little things to play with inside the cave, things that would also scare you. Like there would be like a face that like lights up in the darkness to try to creep you out. So I kind of think about that a little bit when I built this cave, is this kind of in a way like that. And also placing the rocks on the ceiling was way easier than I expected. For some reason, they intercepted the building like right in the very center, so everything perfectly fit into place. Now, one of my main goals when building this cave was to make it so none of the people would clip through the rocks, so I had to move the rocks around quite a bit to make sure the people weren't walking through them. And sometimes it was a little bit hard because some of these rocks are really big, but I ended up being able to accomplish that. It wasn't too difficult. Now, something I haven't talked about regarding this game yet is this game actually rewards you for decorating the path along the line to the coaster. There's a rating whenever you click on the coaster, and it says the scenery rating for the queue of the coaster, and the higher it is, the more appealing the ride will look to the customers. So it's really cool that in this game you actually have an incentive to decorate the coasters rather than just having like plain rides. Now, if you're like playing story mode and you do want to cheat, you can make your rides look more appealing by just spamming tons and tons of just small little pieces of scenery next to the path. You're not really rewarded on making it look nice. As long as there is scenery around it, then you're okay. And side note, before I'm finished building it, I really like how on the outside of this cave, I put tons of rocks in the outside of the building, so it really feels like the cave is kind of like built into the roller coaster in a way. And then once I put a sign with the coaster's name on these rocks and like add some alien stuff on the little ceiling outcropping by this cave section of the rocks, I think it's going to be super duper cool. And now we're moving a little bit further inward. I decided to put one small alien just to kind of show that there's about to be alien life inside this cave, and he's just kind of chilling with his pistol. Maybe he might shoot a few customers if they're loud and obnoxious, or if they smell bad because they forgot to wear deodorant before going to a hot amusement park all day. Man, I can imagine just how bad some people probably smell at amusement parks if they don't wear deodorant, just walking around in the hot sun all day, just consistently, especially if you're not used to doing that. I feel like for lots of people who don't exercise regularly, going to a theme park is actually like a really strenuous activity, because when you go to a theme park, you walk around and stand around a lot. And then there's some theme parks that are built on really hilly terrain, so you're just like walking up big hills all day, and you just, if you're not in good shape, as I said, they can really be some good exercise for the day. I'm sure if you went to a theme park every single day for a year, you would end up being skinny. Unless you're eating lots of the theme park foods, such as like the giant turkey legs, which giant turkey legs are my favorite theme park food. And then also you're eating cotton candy, funnel cake, hot dogs. There's like tons of candy stores inside theme parks for some reason. That's a good comment question for this episode. What is your favorite amusement park food to eat? Mine is definitely the turkey legs. Those are just so delicious. Darling, yes, give me all of those turkey legs. Why am I talking like that? I feel like I'm talking like that one really weird abstract character from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends that's really snooty and thinks she's like the best thing to ever happen to the whole entire earth. I believe her name was Duchess. I'll put a picture on screen of her. She was like a really weird looking person. Also, see the seaweed on this queue? For some reason, that took me about 20 minutes to delete. I like cut it out, like me trying to delete that seaweed. But that seaweed, for some reason, I was unable to click on it as a separate object. And it just, I don't know why, but it took me so long to delete that piece of scenery. And I thought I was gonna have to like delete the whole entire building just to delete the seaweed, and like, it was annoying. But I finally managed to click on it. Because I think for some reason, like the little dangly parts of the seaweed weren't like a actual part of the item you could click on. You could only click on the very top section of the seaweed, which was buried underground. So it was not a fun time, I can assure you that completely. Also, this is kind of related to the speed of the episodes, but I remember when I played Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 on my channel, I did a Let's Build a Theme Park series, and I kind of made it more of a series where I played the game at the actual speed. I didn't speed it up at all, and I kind of played it like as a Let's Play. And then eventually I had to change the style of it, and I kind of made it more like this series is now, where I did the footage being fast forward and then I post commentated it. And lots of people got so mad at me for doing that, even though during the Let's Play itself I actually spent a lot of time doing fast forwarded footage showing me decorating things, because commentating it would have taken way too long. But most people have been actually enjoying the speed of this series, and I think that's the reason for that is because this series isn't nearly as fast. Whenever I sped up the footage in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, I think I had it going at like 15 times the speed. It was really fast. Like every single episode I would build so much. But for this series, it's only 5 times the speed. So it's actually, you can really pay attention to everything that I'm doing and really follow along. And I think the speed is just a lot better overall. Like, I really like this room just because these lights, these lit walls, just look really cool for no reason whatsoever. They just look really dope. Now we're gonna build the actual laboratory room where the aliens are conducting their mischievous experiments. I'm not really sure what type of experiments aliens do, but they probably are beyond my mental capacity, because in most sci-fi movies, aliens are these really complex life forms that have figured pretty much everything out. They're like the ones who are able to fly to Earth first, because they're just like hundreds of years ahead with their technology in comparison to humans. So the experiments they're probably doing right now are way beyond my mental capacity, so I can't really fully explain them to you, but just know that these are some important experiments. You can tell because they're playing with green liquids, and green liquids are natural. And how do you make them? Well, I guess this could just be green fruit punch. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to add some like storyline to the fact that these aliens are performing experiments, but I don't think I'm doing a great job with that. There's a reason that I am not a writer or a storyteller whatsoever. Actually, when I was younger, about the age of 3rd or 4th grade, actually probably more like 5th and 6th grade, back when I used to read a lot of books because I was a total book nerd, I really wanted to be a writer. I started writing several like short books, and I got to I wrote like 20 or 30 pages on several of them, and then I never like followed through with them for whatever reason. I guess I was just a lazy kid. It's whatever though. I'm glad I'm not a writer now. I don't think I would enjoy having that as my occupation. I just don't really have the patience or attention span anymore. Well, I guess I say that, but then I spend 7,000 hours building theme parks in a theme park simulation game. So I guess I do have the attention span for things when it's something I really enjoy doing. And also, something else I want to talk about real fast is I mentioned this a few episodes ago, but I actually got this idea from my younger brother Trenton, who is watching this series. Shout out to my little bro Trenton. He's a cool dude, really nice. Someday you guys might see him on a video. I'm trying to figure out a video to put him in. Actually, you guys have seen him on a video. Me and him did a brother versus brother challenge a long time ago where we did the duct tape challenge and duct tape each other to a chair. And I remember that footage actually got onto, I think it was I Love America, or not I Love America. What's that? Opening show. Good Morning America. I Love America is the name of like some 4th of July thing that happens where I live, and I kind of confuse the two. But anyways, he gave me this idea for whenever I'm building something that takes a long time to build. Every once in a while building it, do an episode in between where I work on something else apart from the structure. That way I can really just add some variety to the things I'm building. So next episode, we're actually going to work on something else for one episode, and then after that, we will come back to this building because I don't want to bore you guys with the work on this building for too long. Well, I don't really mean to say bore you guys, because I don't think you guys are bored by the series, because you wouldn't be watching it if it was boring to you. But what I more so mean is I kind of want to like build suspense towards the final product at the same time, kind of like they do in TV shows where they'll have like a major plot line, and right when they're about to like have the finale of that plot line, they'll have like a side episode where they'll do something completely different that really like builds the plot as well, and like the side characters, we're still building the park in that way. But it also leads you into suspense. You're like, okay, I want to get back to the other thing and see like the finished product. And then it also just adds variety to the episodes as well, so you're not just seeing the same thing over and over again. But next episode, we'll probably build another ride that's not a roller coaster, because right now we only have 2 roller coasters in the park. So I think we should add like a thrill ride or something. That way we have a little bit of more to look at, because even though roller coasters are like the main attraction of theme parks, guests still really like those smaller rides too. I know I do. So that's what we're going to do next episode, I believe. So look forward to that. Now we're adding little tiny small finishing details to this room. It's little lights and stuff. And that path was really, really gross, so I had to put a janitor there. I should probably put some, what's it called? I'm trying to think of the word. Trash cans. That's what people throw trash into. I don't know why I couldn't figure that out. I feel so dumb. Alright, but I think this is all we're going to do for this episode. As we fly through, there's still a lot of things you might notice that we need to change and fix to make it look better, but we will do that in a later episode. So anyways, thank you all so much for watching this episode of Let's Build the Ultimate Coaster. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and give it a like, and I will see you guys in the next one.